Alright, guys, welcome back. So, today we're going over chapter 7, the second and third part. So, for the second part of chapter 7, it's basically vocabulary. These are words that you end up having to learn on your own. You have words like siempre, which means always, nunca, jamás, which means never, también, which means also, and tampoco, which means neither. These are adverbs. So they have to do with the verb. So you can say siempre estudio. It has to do with the verb estudiar, and this means I always study. Siempre estudio. So these are all adverbs. Okay, and then you have words like alguien or nadie, which means someone or no one or not anybody, which sometimes require the personal a, which is something that we talked about in previous chapters. The personal a talks, it's used when the direct object is, when they function as direct objects. So you have, I'm trying to think of a sentence. Okay, we'll skip it for now. So you have that, and then you have words like algo or nada, which means something or nothing. And then you have algún or ningún, which means some or any, or ningún, not or not any. Algún can be broken down into 4 parts: singular masculine, algún; singular feminine, alguna; masculine plural, algunos; and then feminine plural, algunas. Okay, so this is the third part. So like I said, this is vocabulary mainly, which you end up having to learn. There isn't like a trick for me to teach it to you. You just kind of have to learn. And then we move on to the next part, which is formal commands. The formal commands in chapter 7 talk about formal commands, forms, which could be used in either usted or ustedes. So this is like, for example, when you are watching a cooking show, they're telling you what to do, but it's a formal command. It's not, we are best friends so I can tell you what to do. It's formal. So the way you do those is that when a verb ends in AR, the ending changes to E or EN. If you're talking usted, E, and ustedes, EN. And when a verb ends in ER or IR, the ending changes to A or AN. Again, ustedes, or I'm sorry, usted, ustedes. So if I am trying to tell you guys, speak, I would use the verb hablar. But following these rules, and I'm telling all of y'all to speak, so it would be ustedes, I would drop the AR and add EN. So my word is hablen. This could be a formal command on its own, or a full sentence on its own. So, like I could be like, hablen, speak. Somebody say something, like speak. Now let's try a verb that ends in ER, like comer. If I'm telling my cat to eat formally, because I'm speaking to my cat in formal for some odd reason, I would say coma. Again, this is a sentence on its own. So in your oral presentation, when you are doing formal commands, you have to make sure that you follow this format for whenever you are doing a recipe. So you can have something like, primero abra el pan. Abra comes from abrir. I drop the IR and add the A according to this. I would say, abra el pan, open the bread, right? And then you go on like that. You have to remember that you have stem changing verbs like pensar, that changes to piense. This is the stem changing part. This part changes according to the rule, which is something that you can learn. But you have words like pensar, volver, and pedir, which are stem changers. And they change to vuelva or pida. Okay, this changes according to the rule that we have. And then you have the O changes to UE, and the E here changes to an I. So you have to remember the verbs that have stem changing. And then you have to remember that there are certain verbs that change completely. So, for example, you have buscar. This means to look for. So, this changes from C to QU. QU. There are verbs that change from G to GU and from Z to C. So, buscar would change to busque. Busque la mayonesa, which means to look for the mayonnaise, which is something that you can use in your oral presentation. Or you have verbs like pagar that change to, like I said here, pague. Again, is stem changing. And then verbs like empezar that changes to empiece. So not only does the Z change to a C, the E changes to IE in this situation also. So you have to make sure that you are making the correct endings. If you go on to chapter 7, page 224, you are able to see the stem changing of many different verbs that you could be using. So, for example, you have conocer, decir, hacer, oír, salir, tener, traer, venir, ver. So all of these have a stem changing. They have the irregular yo form. And then you have irregular formal commands in general. These are just irregular. So you have dar, estar, ir, saber, and ser. So the stem changing, these are just irregular formal commands that change the whole verb. So you go from dar to de, or den, estar to esté, or estén, ir to vaya, or vayan, saber to sepa, or sepan, and then ser to sea, sea, or sean. So these are formal commands. Make sure that you follow the rule. This is the rule. So when you are writing your oral presentation, you are doing it correctly, because I do end up taking points for that. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video.